Welcome back to a new video, guys. If you are new here, my name is Matt, and today we're going to be talking about the 25 things you should know before visiting Peru in 2022. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the video, and I'm going to give you 5 bonus things that I found shocking during my time in Peru. So during my 2 months in Peru, all the places I went in this order. I started in Lima, where I flew in. I went from Lima to San Bartolo with some friends, and then back to Lima. Then from Lima, I went to Trujillo by bus, and from Trujillo to Chimbote by car, Chimbote to Lima by car, then Lima to Ica and back by bus, and then Lima to Cusco by plane, and then Cusco to Machu Picchu, Machu Picchu to Cusco by bus and train, and then eventually from Cusco to Arequipa by bus, and Arequipa to Lima by plane. So I tried a bunch of different options in traveling around the country, and I got a feel for, the different ways that you can travel. Now with that said, let's get into the video and let's talk about the 25 things you should know when visiting Peru. Number 1. When entering Peru, do not be shocked if immigration does not give you a stamp in your passport. When I went to Peru, they didn't give me a stamp in, they didn't give me a stamp out. I asked about this and they said the reason is for COVID. I'm not really sure what this means. Maybe they're going to change it. They will be giving stamps. I don't know what it is. But basically, when you go through immigration on arrival, make sure you ask how many days they are giving you to stay. That way you know when you're leaving the country, you're not going to overstay your amount of tourist days like I did. Otherwise, you have to pay a fine. Number 2 is Uber. Lima and most of the bigger cities, they usually have Uber. Not all of the cities, of course. Definitely in Lima, you're going to find Uber. Uber is very affordable. It's very comfortable. It's safe. It's the best way to get around. And you're not going to spend more than maybe $2-3 for an Uber ride one way. Number 3 is credit cards. Don't worry about your credit cards because you can use them in a lot of different places. I didn't have any issues really anywhere. Just a few places in smaller towns and smaller areas where it was better to use cash. So you won't have any worries with that. Number 4, during the time of my traveling, it was very necessary to show your vaccine upon entering any sort of building. And along with your vaccine, you had to show your passport. So you had to carry your passport and vaccine pretty much everywhere. Now, as somebody that travels a lot, I really do not like carrying my passport because you can easily lose it. Somebody can steal it from you. The best thing you can do in this situation is actually take a photo of it and just have it on your phone. They will totally accept it. I did it in many places. So that's something that you have to keep in mind when going to Peru. Number 5. If you've ever been to the United States, you know that portion sizes are huge with food. Well, in Peru, there is no difference. When you pay for your meal, you get what you pay for. They give you a lot of food. So plan to gain some weight probably when you visit Peru because the portion sizes are really big. Number 6, regarding the food. Food is relatively affordable. In most restaurants, most places you go to eat, you're not going to pay more than like maybe $10. On average, I would say it's in between $6 and $10 for one person. It's definitely affordable. Number 7, if you're in Lima or anywhere along the coast, sunsets are a thing. Everyone goes to the sunset. They watch it because it's a great place to hang out with friends, to meet some locals, and you'll see a lot of families just enjoying their time. Number 8 is when you go to a store, you purchase something like the supermarket. Upon exiting the store, it is required to show your receipt to make sure you paid for everything. This is very common in Peru, so don't be shocked when somebody's standing at the door waiting for your receipt. Don't throw out the receipt as you're going to need it. Number 9 is security. In Lima, from my experience, in most other cities, the security is pretty good. There's security in stores, outside of stores, even sometimes in neighborhoods with little guard shacks where they sit in to make sure, everything is in order in the neighborhood. So it makes it feel real safe. Number 10 is delivery services. There are plenty of delivery services in Peru. Most of the delivery drivers are delivering goods by moped. So you have the option of delivery if you really don't feel like going out sometime or maybe the weather is not the best. Number 11, food again. The food is very rich, like I said, so it has a lot of ingredients, has a lot of spices. Some can be very spicy, but you can always ask for the spice on the side. So expect for the Peruvian dish to have a lot of flavor in it. And if you're somebody that doesn't like too much mixtures and flavors of things, maybe find something that's more neutral for you to eat when you're visiting Peru. But the Peruvian food is like some of the best in the world, and I loved almost everything I had there. Number 12 that I want to talk about is pets. Peru, Lima, any other city is so pet friendly. So many people have dogs, some people have cats, and if you're traveling with a dog, if you want to go to Peru and maybe adopt a dog, you have the options because they're everywhere. You can find small green spaces to bring your animal to play. You can even see sometimes stray animals in these spaces. Number 13. Now, Peru is a pretty big country, so weather and climate depends on where you are. But in terms of Lima, in the summertime, it gets really hot and it's very dry and it never really rains. In the winter, it can be totally opposite and feel pretty cold as you are on the coast. So make sure you prepare for the weather where you're going to be, whether it's in Cusco, in Lima, in the north, in the jungle. You're going to want to prepare the proper clothing for wherever you're going. Number 14 is beaches. Now, I visited the beach just in Lima, San Bartolo, in Trujillo. And of all these places, the beach was pretty rough. Maybe it depended on the wind patterns that day. But also the beach is very cold because it is the Pacific, so it's a fast-moving body of water. It's much deeper, so prepare for the ocean to be rough, cold, maybe gray. And if you're coming to Peru to surf, it's great. You're gonna love it there. Just get your wetsuit and you'll be ready to go. Number 15 is traffic. Now in Lima, the traffic can be pretty hairy at times. Lima is known for having some of the worst traffic in South America. Not the worst, but one of the top cities on the continent for having the worst traffic. So depending on where your accommodation is, you may hear a lot of beeping and just a lot of noise from moving vehicles at certain times of the day and public transportation. Number 16, like I said, with the weather, Lima gets very dry, so it never rains. But depending on where you are traveling, the weather, the climate is so different in different regions. So you can be within hours from different climates. Like one day I was in Lima, then I flew to Cusco, and the temperature was just completely different. I left Lima with shorts, landed in Cusco, and I wanted a jacket, I wanted a hat, I wanted mittens. So you really need to prepare for the weather. Number 17 is that if you are in Lima or anywhere near the coast, you will find that the climate, the air is pretty dusty sometimes, very sandy if it's not raining for a very long time. So if you look at your weather app, you will see it will say sometimes like dusty weather or sandy weather. I'm not really sure what it says, but I remember looking at it when I was there and it showed like a dust cloud or something. So sometimes your house, your accommodation where you're staying gets very dirty and you need to clean more often, but this is just normal when you're living and staying in a coastal desert. Okay, next one, number 18, is that there is tons of foreign cuisine in Peru. I mean, you can find many different options from Chinese, Japanese, Indian, American, Australian, I even see. So don't worry if you want to take a break from Peruvian food sometimes. You can try some other cuisines that are around these different cities. Mainly Lima is where you're going to find most of that. Maybe in Arequipa too. Number 19 is green space. I touched on this a little bit before, but like in Lima, there are small little parks in between many different residential neighborhoods where you can kind of go out, maybe sit in the grass, relax, and feel like you're away from the concrete jungleness of the city. And definitely in different parts of the country, it's going to be more green, like in Cusco. So you have the option for green spaces no matter where you go, pretty much. Number 20. From my experience, I found that even though Peru exports a lot of coffee, they're not very big coffee drinkers. There definitely are lots of cafes and there are places to drink coffee, but I didn't see or meet too many people that were drinking coffee. Maybe they drink more coffee at home than they do out, like in cafe culture. But in my opinion, I didn't like the coffee as much as I enjoyed in some other countries. Number 21, Peruvians like to party. Now, when I was in Peru, in some different cities, I heard lots of partying, depending on what was happening, cultural events, football games. you will see many people partying, especially on the weekend in Lima. Many people go out, as there are some very hippie areas where people like to party and hang out with others and drink and be social, such as Barranco. So expect that when you're visiting Peru too. You can get a little bit of everything. Number 22 is that there are plenty of options to go shopping. Many shopping malls and little stores and little outdoor areas to shop. So if you're looking to buy some new clothing or to buy something while you are traveling as you may need it, you have the option. Number 23, we also touched on this a little bit, but this is to say that in the evenings when that sun goes down, the temperature sometimes drops very fast. So even if it is summertime, you might want to carry a light sweatshirt with you. As it gets chilly near the coast, you can get a little bit of wind or breeze and you may feel cold at night. So when I visited in the summertime, I always brought a sweater out at night, or I wore pants at night as it was much more comfortable. Number 24 is that bus travel is the most convenient way to get around Peru. From city to city, there are many different bus companies. They're very affordable, and it's really the best way unless you're renting a car. Other than that, paying for a flight from little city to little city, you can find good prices, but you need to book pretty far ahead of time, and most people prefer to go by bus, and they're relatively safe. And last but not least, number 25, most places in Peru are safe. I didn't really experience any danger, any scary moments. Everything was really safe. Maybe you can get some food poisoning here and there. That's pretty much the worst thing that I experienced. So don't worry about safety. Just, be smart and be a normal traveler that isn't, very showing of their materials and all of these things. But I think you're going to have a safe and worryless time in Peru. All right, so that was 25 things that you should know before visiting Peru. Now I want to give you 5 bonus things based on my experience that I found a little shocking. Now, number 1, I went to the center of Lima and I found it to be very dirty in some places, and some places kind of smelled bad. This is because it's very overpopulated, and there's a lot of outdoor markets happening, so it's a little chaotic. So I didn't really enjoy that too much, but you should go check it out and see what it's like, because it's very interesting. It's very similar to something I've seen in other countries. Number 2 is, if you're trying to learn Spanish while in Peru, expect that some of the people that work in these stores that you speak to will speak extremely fast. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand them because they are speaking so fast, and they really don't pay attention that you may not understand that well, and they just keep speaking fast. So if you have any troubles, just have your translator ready. It will help. Bonus tip number 3 is that there are people that help park cars because the traffic can be so intense and so heavy that these guys help people get into parking spots a lot faster and find parking spots. So they will flag you down and tell you where a parking spot is. Don't worry about it. They're there to help. All you have to do is give them, 1 coin or 2 coins, and they're going to be happy. And sometimes they'll even watch your car or wash your car for you. So it's a very cool thing. Number 4 is that there are Chinese restaurants everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's a Chinese restaurant. Pretty much every street. Instead of it saying China or Chinese, it says Chifa. This is like a mixture of Chinese and Peruvian food, and it is phenomenal. It is really good, and you should try it when you go to Peru. And last but not least is number 5. This was really shocking to me, is that everything I owned with me for clothing, shoes, it got dirty extremely fast. I even bought a new pair of shoes in Peru, and within a couple days, they were brown because of the dust that's just floating around, the dirt in the coastal desert, and things get really dirty. So there you have it. That is 25 things you should know about visiting Peru in 2022, and 5 bonus shocks that I found myself from visiting during beginning of this year. Now, if you have any questions, you can leave a comment below. I'll answer it right away, and we can kind of keep this discussion going about things you can expect when visiting Peru, and you can use my experiences to have a little bit of knowledge before you go. But other than that, that's going to be it for today. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this will be helpful for you when visiting and planning your next trip. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Later. So as you can see behind me, I have two maps. I've hand drawn them to the best of my ability. I'm not a cartographer. I did study geography a little bit, so I have some understanding of how to draw a map and the things that go on a map. But one is going to be the route of my journey in Peru, so all the places I went from start to finish. And the other one is just a general map with most of the major cities, the different types of landscape like mountain, desert, and lowland and hills and stuff like that with rivers. And yeah, those are the maps, so you can see them in the background. So during my 2 months in Machu Picchu, no. Tip number 12 that I wanted to tell.